Welcome to the Garden Gamble, where we're planting hope, taking chances, and growing memories for every season. I'm Ricky Clausen, owner of Clausen's Greenhouse in northern Minnesota. This podcast is for anyone who's ever stood in the garden, greenhouse, or backyard wondering if they're doing it right. Here we talk real-life gardening, the wins, the mistakes, and everything we learn along the way. Whether you're new to plants or have dirt permanently under your nails, you're in the right place. Let's take the gamble and grow together. Hey everyone, it's Ricky and we're here with another episode of the Garden Gamble following the series that we are currently doing all about cut flowers and flower farming in general. Last week we talked a little bit about doing your own backyard cutting gardens, and today we're going to be diving into the topic of what makes a good bouquet. I remember when I first started and was looking into having a flower farm here, and I went to my first U-Pick and started following other flower farmers and growers on Facebook and Instagram. I felt a little bit, I don't know if overwhelmed is the right word, but I was just really curious on how they made such stunning and well-rounded bouquets. And now that I've been doing it for a couple of years, I've really kind of found my way after research and just doing it over and over again on how to make a nice, stunning bouquet. And so I kind of wanted to share that knowledge with you guys today. So if you are doing your own bouquets in your own backyard cutting garden after you're feeling inspired by last week's topic, or if you come out to a U-Pick at either our flower farm or your own local flower farm, or if you have a bouquet bar that you go to also. So we're going to talk about what makes a good bouquet, how to make it, so hopefully you can kind of build that confidence when it comes time to make a bouquet. So to make a nice, well-rounded bouquet, there are 5 elements to consider. We have focal flowers, which are going to be like your nice, large, eye-catching flowers. You have secondary flowers or disc flowers, so they're just going to be like one size smaller, but still pretty round in shape. Line or spike flowers, those are going to be your taller, spiky line flowers. Fillers and greenery. So those elements, if you have all of those in a bouquet, you're off to a really great start. So we're going to talk about a few examples of each of those, and then we're going to follow up with kind of how to create it. So we start with a focal flower. Like I said, these are those large eye-catching ones that you see in a bouquet. So a few examples of focal flowers that we grow on our flower farm or that you'll commonly see are large zinnias, dahlias, and sunflowers. Those are the ones that I use the most in bouquets and arrangements. So those are the ones that we grow here and that you'll see often on flower farms and in backyard cutting gardens. If you're at a flower shop, some other ones that you might see are roses, are probably the most common focal flower. There's a few others, hydrangeas sometimes, just kind of depends on how you use that one. But yeah, those are the ones that you'll see most often on flower farms. Next is the secondary flowers or your disc flowers. They're just going to be one step down from your focal, but like I said, still round in shape. These can be smaller zinnias, because zinnias come in a number of different sizes and blooms. So smaller zinnias, calendula, marigolds, and straw flowers. There are many, many more, but those are going to be some of the most common ones that you see at flower farms. Next up is those line flowers or spikes. Those are going to be your nice tall ones that just add some height to your arrangements. They kind of bring your eye up and around the whole bouquet. Really add just another element that I really enjoy adding those. And some that I grow here and that you'll see most often are snapdragons, celosia, and salvia. Another one is stock as well. That's another one that I grow. I like adding like snapdragons, stock, and celosia because the stock and the snapdragons really enjoy that cooler weather of the early spring, whereas celosia, I start harvesting those a little bit later in the summer because they're more heat tolerant and really enjoy the heat of the summer. So I've got those different line flowers throughout the season. Next up is fillers. These are just going to kind of fill in the gaps of your bouquet and just really tie everything together. Some examples of those is yarrow. That one is a perennial. That's actually the only perennial right now that I have in our flower farm that I've grown since the first year. I love it. I love yarrow. Feverfew is another one, and status. Feverfew are like little tiny daisy looking flowers, and status is almost like a papery kind of filler flower there as well. Great for drying. And the last thing to round off a nice bouquet is greenery, of course, and greenery is just going to make those flowers stand out even more. Some greenery that I grow on our flower farm is Dusty Miller, basil, and eucalyptus. Now, basil, I just want to touch on this a little bit. Typically, basil, if you're growing it as an herb that you're going to use in cooking, you want to kind of pinch off those top flowers. You're wanting to use those leaves in your cooking, but in a flower farm and for bouquets, you want it to get nice and tall and go into like almost like a flower head at the top. And yes, I use that one as a greenery in bouquets, and it has just a lovely fragrance. And eucalyptus is another one that we grow here on the flower farm, and that one I typically don't get to harvest until a little bit later because you want to cut it at a very specific stage. But another lovely scented greenery. So we've got focals, we've got secondary, we've got line or spike flowers, fillers, and greenery to make a nice, well-rounded bouquet. So if you've got those in your garden already planted, or if you've harvested them at a U-pick, or you've picked them out at a bouquet bar, the next thing you're going to want to do is add them in odd numbers. I like to do bunches of 3 or 5. The odd numbers just make it look a little bit more balanced, and by the time that you add 3 or 5 of each of those elements, it's going to look just really nice and well-rounded. So you've got your varieties picked out, you've got 3 or 5 of each of those. Now it's time to create, and you can either create your bouquet directly in your hand or in a vase. So I personally like creating bouquets in my hand first rather than directly into a vase. And you'll hear some other like flower farmers and farmer florists talk about bouquets versus arrangements. A bouquet is you've got your flowers and you send it off to be arranged in a vase at home. It's often wrapped in like a paper. We use just classic butcher paper here. That is a bouquet, where an arrangement is someone has taken time to carefully place and put all of those into a vase, and it's ready to go, already pre-done. It's a bit more of an art form in an arrangement. So the difference between a bouquet and an arrangement there. So bouquets, I still like to create in my hand because I want the presentation still in a bouquet where, yes, customers are going to be taking those bouquets home and arranging them in a vase themselves, but I just think it looks sloppy and not as sellable when you just grab your flowers, put them in some paper, and sell it. So I like to kind of create it in my hand, and you use kind of like a claw shape. You don't want to grasp it. You want it to be nice and loose when you are making a bouquet. So you use your little claw hand to make that nice, well-rounded bouquet. And what I do is I start with the foliage first. Then I add a lot of my focal flowers. Then I move on to secondary or disc flowers. Add the line flowers next, and then I finish with the fillers, because the fillers you can kind of stick in between everything else wherever there's a little gap. And to kind of round off this podcast here today, honestly, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you love one specific flower and you want to just have one big bunch of all sunflowers or one big bunch of all dahlias, that is your own personal preference. Like I said, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but in my opinion, and for farmer florists and florists, to make a nice, well-rounded bouquet and arrangement, having those 5 elements that we talked about, the focal, the secondary, the line flowers, fillers, and foliage, that's just gonna have a nice, well-rounded, very eye-catching bouquet that just feels complete. So those are just a few things to consider if you're still hoping to grow your own, or I really hope that you can stop out for a U-pick on our flower farm. Those are going to be starting here shortly. We usually start those about mid-July and we continue those through first frost here at Clausen's Greenhouse and in our flower farm. So we typically do Thursdays and Sundays, but you can find the tickets for those directly on our website once it gets time, and we typically post about it on our social media pages as well, that we've got a few upcoming events and U-picks going on here at our place. If you are interested in this too, we can do bouquet bars where we harvest all of the flowers, bring them in a nice display of buckets where you still get to make your own bouquet and arrangement, but we come to you. I really enjoy doing that for like work events. We bring our bouquet bars to local nursing homes where we get to do bouquets and arrangements with the residents. That's probably one of my favorite things that we get to do, is just spreading that joy to them. I really enjoy watching their faces just light up. A lot of them grew a lot of these flowers, and it's just really a fun time. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out and let us know if you want us to bring a bouquet bar to you. So that's another thing that we do here at Clausen's Greenhouse and Flower Farm. So now we are going to continue on with our series talking all about cut flowers and cutting gardens. So we've talked about your own backyard cutting garden. Today we learned a little bit about what makes a stunning bouquet and arrangement and things to consider. Next week coming up, we're going to start a little series of my favorite cut flowers. So our favorite cut flower series, where I'm going to talk about 3 varieties of cut flowers that are probably my favorite, and we're really going to deep dive into them. So the next 3 weeks are going to be all about those, and I'm really looking forward to it. So catch us next week here on The Garden Gamble. And if you are hoping to come out to a U-pick or start your own backyard cutting garden, hopefully these deep dives and all of this information will help you take the gamble out of your own gardening experience. So we will catch you next week for our favorite cut flower series. Take care. Thanks for joining me on The Garden Gamble. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with a fellow plant lover. Gardening isn't a gamble when you have the right guidance, and you don't have to figure it out alone. Until next time, take care.